All right. So I'm just
Okay.
going to go on here and make
I'm
it
out of
public
Facebook.
so everyone could see it. Let's see. I forgot to do that once, and very few people got to see it. All right. Edit privacy, public. All right. We should be on there. We should
Okay.
be on there now. Let's see. And we'll give people a few minutes to people start. Hey Ken, I don't know if you can see the comments, Clover. I know you
I'm
have
gonna
access to them. You could. I just don't know. Hey Yoris, Catherine. Hey
pull
Frank.
it up and see if I can.
Sure.
I'll open it in another page and see if that works.
Oh,
Oh, there we go.
you're fancy. You know what you're doing.
Kind of. All right, there we go.
Good deal. Hello, Doug. All right, people are signing on. Appreciate you doing this, buddy. I do. You know, giving up your time.
I'm considerably honored. I do appreciate this opportunity.
God, you're such a nice fella. I see what everyone's talking about now. Well, you know what? A lot of the women will probably be a little late. They're getting themselves all done up, thinking you can see them too. So we'll give them a few minutes. You know. Thanks, Orlando. Appreciate that, buddy. Hey, Nick, Gary, Doug, Catherine. All right, we got a bunch of people signing on. How was your holiday weekend? You're a dog trainer, so you probably don't get much holidays.
I generally don't take too many breaks. My holiday weekends generally start in December, like 2 weeks before Christmas, and then
Yeah.
go up to my birthday, January 5th.
Oh, I'm January 6th.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'm training dogs. I am currently prepping to compete with my dog in PSA down in
Awesome.
Miami.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be October 10th. So I put in a little extra work with him today. And then bow hunting season starts next week. So
Wait a second. You're a bow hunter too?
Yes, sir.
Oh, we got to hang. My season opened this weekend.
Did you go?
We opened. No, I didn't. I have dogs here, and I had a bunch of things to do, and it's hot. And the problem here, Clover, is Kentucky. You're only allowed to get one buck a year. So,
Really?
yeah, if I take a buck with the bow, I'm done. And I love hunting October and November. And one year I did take a good buck early September, and I was miserable the rest of the year because I like being out there. I like the process, more than anything else.
Okay.
Now you're out in North Carolina, correct?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
So
Where
I'm
at
allowed
exactly?
to have 2 bucks and 4 doe. And yeah, that's it.
Oh man, yeah, I wish we'd go to that here, but we're a trophy state too. We grow big deer, and that's part of the reason. But not everyone follows the law around here. Hey, Nikki, Leanne, Gary, a lot of people on here now signing in.
Really, yeah.
Okay, so okay, you could see the comments then.
Yeah, I've got it pulled up on my Facebook on a separate page, so I can
Good.
see a couple of them.
Excellent. What part of North Carolina are you in, Clover?
I'm outside of Fayetteville.
Okay. Clover from Clover, Catherine D. LeBlanc. All right, we got a bunch of questions we could ask you, but like I told you earlier, this goes wherever. This is your platform, okay? Try to stop me from talking, and I want people to get to know you. Put yourself out there. We'll go any place you want to take it. And let's get this out of the way first. When I invited you, when I announced that you were going to be on, it kind of caused a firestorm with the ladies out there, man. I mean, my goodness. When I started seeing so many comments that I had to go back in and look at your picture that I posted. I went in and I looked and I was like, damn, he is a good looking guy. I'm so jealous now. Okay. But now I'm gonna make it worse for the ladies who are already crazy about you. All right. Tell everybody what you were doing when I messaged you earlier. What were you doing? This is going to turn on a lot of women. Go ahead.
I was washing dishes.
That's it. You just turned on millions of women all over the United States washing dishes.
Oh, Jesus.
Move your camera over a little so you're in the screen and they could see
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yeah, there
Sorry.
you go.
There we go.
Yeah, doing dishes. I shouldn't even say that out loud because now my wife's ears are perking up,
Oh
because
Jesus.
that's the easiest way for me to turn my wife. All I got to do is clean. I clean and everything's over. That's it. That's the best thing,
Fair enough.
Hey, Amy, how are you? But okay. Introduce yourself to everyone. Okay. Tell them where you're at, your company name.
My name is Clover Street. I'm based out of Aberdeen, North Carolina. I own and operate Marathon Canine Academy. I've been a dog trainer, professional dog trainer for 5 years. I've owned my own company for 4. I specialize in police and personal protection dogs, but I also do obedience and behavior modification.
So you just made, hey, Adrian, you've been training dogs professionally 5 years, correct?
Yes, sir.
Not very long. You're a young guy. You're a new guy. But yet, I've heard nothing but phenomenal things about your talent. Okay. Like nothing. People just sing your praises. So it just goes to show you that experience is great. It's awesome. You can't replace experience. But in today's day and age, there's enough good people out there, enough good information to where you could save a lot of time. Like people that were training 40, 30, even 20 years ago didn't have the opportunities to what people have out there today. Now, what made you get into it, Clover?
Oh, so we have to go way back. We have to go
Sure.
way back to 2007. Um, so I went to college for captive wildlife care and education, and I wanted to be a zookeeper after college. So I got a degree in zookeeping, and my specialty was working with reptiles.
Oh,
I had the fortune of being a zookeeper. I worked at Zoo Atlanta in the education department for a while, and when I graduated from college in 2011, I applied to 2 facilities full time because Zoo Atlanta didn't have a full time reptile keeper position. And there was one facility in Pennsylvania that hired me, and then there was a smaller facility in Texas that hired me as well. So I passed both interviews with stellar colors. And the smaller facility I actually ended up going to because I thought I could make a better difference there. Um, they had a massive collection of venomous reptiles, which was really
that,
cool.
that's
Uh,
awesome.
uh, my favorite thing is lizards, but I got to do a lot of hands-on stuff with various venomous reptiles, specifically cobras, some vipers. I got to do a lot more than I would have at the other facility, being a newer keeper.
Sure.
Um, However, I clashed with some of the higher staff because I kind of wanted to bring in some new ideas to develop some work in education and conservation, and they didn't like that, so I ended up getting let go. So I ended up taking a job as a vet tech because they figured if I could draw blood on a snake, I should be able to draw blood on a dog.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I guess so, and I could draw blood on a dog, and ended up moving to Hawaii, and I got a job as a vet tech for the Army. And I didn't think anything of it. I'm seeing dogs left and right, doing some routine stuff, and then my first military working dog experience was when military working dog Zeno came back from deployment. Papa 226 was his designation. Him and now Staff Sergeant Lyon had come back, and Zeno was a phenomenal German Shepherd. First, he was a beautiful dog, and the way his handler worked with him, the two of them had a great relationship. They worked well together. They had been on numerous deployments together, and they had just gotten back from this current one to Afghanistan. And I don't know, something about that dog just turned me on to maybe I want to get into dog training. So on my days off, I ended up going over to the kennels and putting on a bite suit and getting bit, right? But I figured there was more to it, so I started, researching Learberg and whatnot. I found as many dog trainers as I could on the island of Oahu. Leonard Latoto, if you're familiar with him, who
Yeah,
owns
yeah,
Exceptional Obedience,
sure.
he's one of my mentors. He taught me a
Awesome.
lot. I owe him a lot of stuff.
Good
Um,
deal.
he's a good friend now too. But
Great.
he taught me a lot about behavior. And there was another guy named Daniel Barrett who was training protection dogs, and he started teaching me about the sport of Schutzhund. And I got into Schutzhund a little bit, but I didn't really enjoy it because the environment wasn't that great. But I started taking on some client dogs on my days off just to get my feet wet.
Hmm.
And they said I was a natural, Daniel and Leonard. And as my time in Hawaii was ending, Leonard was like, I'm hoping you're going to start your own business. I really am, because you're going to do phenomenal. So I said, I guess I'll bite the bullet and I'll do it, right? And that's how Marathon Canine Academy came to be. I used to be a marathon runner, not anymore because I've got bad knees.
That was my next question. Were you a runner? That was goes. I
I
was going to ask
was
you.
in high school. I was a track runner, 400 meters or less.
Hmm.
Um, and then I got into marathon running because my wife is a marathon runner.
Hmm.
Um, now I'm not. She still is. I'm not. No way in hell.
Yeah.
Um, but that's how my business came to be. And we moved to Colorado. And there was a guy named Jeremy Varela who owns a company called Right Hand Canine in Utah. And I went out to one of his seminars, and he said I was a natural as a decoy. And I fell in love with decoying. Being
Awesome.
able to read a dog, being able to manipulate pressure, teach them to drive in and get drive satisfaction based on how you were acting. And I was hooked. So I got in as front of many dogs as possible, as many police departments that would take me, and things just took off. My name kind of traveled around, and now here I am hosting seminars across the country. I'm an adjunct instructor for the HRD canine crew, Ted Summers, Ray Murphy, Eric Stanbro.
Sure.
It's just been a whirlwind experience, and honestly, I don't think I'd ever go back to do anything else except for training dogs.
That's great. That's a great story. What's your favorite snake?
Oh, there's a snake called the Mengshan pit viper. I really like it. It's a beautiful viper from Asia. It's green and brown. It's massive. It almost rivals the size of the Bushmaster. It's one of the largest pit vipers in the world.
I like the Gaboon Viper. I love snakes too, man. I love snakes as a kid.
Somewhere in my library, I've got a fang shed of a Gaboon viper
Do
about
you
30 years
really?
old. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm a big snake guy too. I used to really when I first went to Arizona, I was in heaven, and I was getting paid from the U of A to catch rattlesnakes, live rattlesnakes. And they were paying me extra for Mojave rattlesnakes. We had a lot of Mojave rattlesnakes in the area. So
Okay.
yeah, I used to be crazy about it too. Almost got myself hurt a few times before I was forced to stop doing it. Um, now,
I
how
hear you there.
long how long after you started did you get into PSA?
I actually got into PSA last year.
So you
Uh,
pretty new. Have you competed yet?
I competed once. So I trained with Andrew Sterner at a JASD PSA club, and we hosted a trial back in June. And I failed my PDC by half a point,
Hmm.
which was just devastating. Um, so we've gone back to the drawing board, changed up my routine for when I walk onto the field, and now I'm looking to go compete for my PDC again in Miami, and I'm feeling pretty confident about it now.
So what was that first time walking out on that field like for you? Were you just really fired up and nervous?
So it was also my first time decoying a trial. So I certified as a decoy in PSA back in February,
Hmm.
which was really cool because I was the only one at that decoy camp to certify. So, and it was ridiculously intense. It was like CrossFit in a bite suit,
Yeah,
which was
yeah,
insane. But I was decoying my first time in a trial and competing for my first time. So I thought I had everything under control until my entire warm up routine just shut down. I tried to shed some equipment and shed my reward for my dog, and he noticed it. So he lost focus, and I should have taken my time a little bit more so to
hmm
regain control. But for some reason, I felt like I was rushed to get onto the field. So I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm gonna walk on the field and we'll see what happens.
yeah,
And his healing was a little loose until the gunfire, which tightened it up. His recall, he blew past me because there was a bite sleeve behind me, and he went over and sniffed the bite sleeve before coming to me. It was embarrassing, but I was glad I got it out of the way on my home field.
sure, sure. And what's the biggest thing you learned from that experience that day?
The biggest thing I learned was to relax. You know,
Yeah,
just roll with the punches, let things happen as they do, and to be confident in my training because I know my dog and I are capable. Uh, I definitely trust my dog. We put in a lot of hours, a lot. And if you saw him where he was when I first got him to
yeah,
now, you'd be impressed. I'm not just saying that because it's you. A lot of people have made mention of the dog he was when I first got him to where he is now. He's a different dog. I mean,
awesome.
he's still a hard dog,
Hmm.
but he's what I wanted because originally I was going to train him and sell him as a police dog.
Sure.
So when I built him up, there are a bunch of stuff I had to kind of wipe away from the slate. He's a 2-year-old Dutch Shepherd, by the way, and he's a KNPV dog.
Yeah,
He's
beautiful
pretty
dog.
hard.
Beautiful
Thank you.
dog.
But he's a hard dog. He's a one-person dog. Doesn't like many other people. Um,
Yeah.
he does have one live bite, not to be proud of, but he's a serious dog. But for
Sure.
what I wanted, he's what I wanted. I know he's not going to be a top-level sport dog,
Mhm.
um, because he commits to the bite work, and I think he gasses himself out pretty hard to where he loses a little bit of mental clarity. So when we get to the upper levels, I know it's going to be tough for him, which
Yeah.
I'm okay with because I'll still be able to learn from those experiences with him at those upper levels. Should we make it there to what I can put towards my next dog?
He's going to teach you a lot for sure.
Yes, he is.
You know.
He
Now,
has.
now, what did you like? What appealed to you about PSA over, say, IGP? What was the difference?
I don't know if this is gonna hurt a couple of feelings, but honestly, the camaraderie in PSA has been that much more spectacular. A lot
Sure.
more folks have been welcoming to me. So here where I live, there's like 15 other trainers in the area, right?
Hmm.
There's three PSA clubs within an hour of
Oh,
where I live.
wow.
Yeah. Um, and the club that I attend, he had a pet business as well, and I live 15 minutes from him. And the fact that he was willing to let me come in there as a competitor, right,
Right.
and
Right.
train with him and learn from him because I don't know a thing about PSA, and I'll be the first person to tell you that, right? That he was willing to let me come in and work his clients' dogs for one. He's willing to trust me as a decoy and develop me as a decoy, and teach me things that'll help me become a better handler and trainer. That says a lot. So I've learned a lot more through PSA as far as the group of people that I've been able to associate with versus IGP. I had a bad experience with IGP in Hawaii.
It's funny you say that. I was going to a national tournament IGP one couple years ago, and I've gone to several. I enjoy watching anything dog related. I'll watch anything dog related, and there are a few people that I was really excited about meeting. People that I'm big fans of. I'm a big fan of their work, and I was real excited to meet them. And well, it's kind of let's just say I didn't have the best experience either. There were
Yeah.
I met some great people through IGP too. Really great people, but I was kind of blown away by the politics that I was witnessing.
Yeah.
It was very surprising to me. But I've been told the same thing from PSA people because it does seem to be like a very, very tight knit community. And I think that's, I would assume, listening to Jerry Bradshaw speak, I think that was one of the big things he wanted to create. And I think he's done a pretty incredible job in doing so. And I think it's going to just keep growing. Especially with young trainers like yourself. I think it's just very appealing to a lot of young people. But that's pretty. Yeah, you've moved along really, really fast. I mean, you just jumped right into it. Now, are you training pet dogs too, or just working dogs?
Yes. Yes, I will train pet dogs. I've got a dog staying here right now who's a little stubborn pit bull mix, a little
Hmm.
5-month-old dog who's here with me for a couple weeks. I just dropped off an Australian Shepherd, another 5-month-old dog after staying with me for 3 weeks. And the client told me it was a massive turnaround, which is really nice to hear. Um,
Right.
Knock on wood, I haven't had any major issues where a client was just totally upset with me.
Sure.
And I know that day will come where I just couldn't do what I wanted to do with the dog, and I'm trying to be as forthcoming as I can with people because I'm still learning, and I don't think I'm ever going to stop learning. I hope I never stop learning.
We all are. We're yeah. If you're not learning anymore in this business, there's an issue there.
Yeah.
So I think it was Tyler that wanted me to ask you. I think it was Tyler. I have to go back and look at the name. What was the most difficult dog you had to deal with so far in your career, and how did you deal with it? Could be any issue.
Oh goodness, most difficult. Um, there is a woman, and she was actually I think the third or fourth dog that I started working with. Um, she had a Great Dane, right? A beautiful Merle Great Dane, 7 years old, who hated men. Her ex-boyfriend was abusive to her, and I believe was abusive to the dog too. So you've got this 200-pound dog, and uh, I couldn't even walk into the house at first. Um, oh man, like she was upset because she had seen a couple of trainers beforehand, and she was a little discouraged.
Sure.
But she and I talked. I didn't even look at the dog. I just ignored it the whole time while she had the dog on a leash outside. And first off, we're shivering too because it was in the middle of winter in Colorado. So we're
Mm.
standing outside, freezing, and we just get to talking and whatnot. And normally, I give a free consult and I call the folks the next day just to see how they're feeling about it. But she was comfortable enough with me to be able to work with this dog, and the dog didn't have any food drive, no toy drive, nothing. Right? But we ended up doing about like 8 or 9 private sessions once a week, and like the first 3 or 4, I was just feeling really discouraged because again, I'm still a very young trainer at the time, and she's not seeing the progress she wanted. But we sat down, we talked. Said, listen, I'm going to give you everything of me, and if this doesn't work, I'm going to give you your money back, of course. But let's just keep pushing, right? And eventually, we were able to get that dog out in public, and a friend of hers was able to come out and have coffee with us and sit down. And he was afraid of dogs too, which is crazy. But he was able to sit down, and that dog ended up going over and laying at his feet and falling asleep. So one of the more difficult cases, and probably one of the most rewarding ones, because she
Sure.
was in tears at the end of it.
Yeah.
It's possible that I probably shed tears too because I was like freaking out that I was going to have my first bad review. You know?
Yeah. Well, listen, you said something right in the beginning there that is so important, and people don't realize the importance of. You spent time talking to her and addressing her, and you never addressed the dog whatsoever.
Mhm.
And two things happen when you do that. And I do that with all clients. For one, the dog becomes more comfortable immediately because the dog's so used to people addressing them up front. Everybody wants to look at the dog, focus on the dog, talk to
Yeah,
the dog, right?
yeah,
And if you do that, the dog's going to react like it does to everyone else. But then when you get the owner engaged, the owner stops thinking about the issues with the dog, and they're focused on you. They're focused on the conversation. And that has such a powerful effect. And you did it. But even more importantly, you said something that really shows what kind of person you are. And I'm so impressed with you as a young man, Clover. I feel like an old guy saying that.
I'm
But
only 31
yeah, you're young, but you told her if you don't get it done, you'll give her her money back.
for sure.
And that's saying something. That is, because I see dogs come through here every month, several times a month, that have been through hell. Not only no results, but had really bad experiences. And no one ever asks for their money back. And I don't understand that. I think it's a big mistake allowing these so-called trainers to take 2, 3, 4 grand and provide you with nothing. If you went to any other service, if you went to a doctor or a mechanic or a caterer, you would demand your money back. But when it comes to the dog world, for some reason, people just chalk it up. Hey, Oscar, and that's really impressive that you even said that. And when you have that kind of integrity and that kind of attitude, you're never going to hurt for business ever. Because when you combine your talent, which is obvious you have, and that kind of compassion for the people and the animals, young fella, you're going to go so far. You're going to do amazing. I see why people just raved about you now. I totally get in this really short conversation so far. All right, let me ask you something.
Go
Who's your
ahead.
favorite athlete of all time?
Oh man. Okay. So I'm a big hockey fan. I used to play when I was younger. Um, I'm a big fan of Patrick Waugh. Uh, with that Colorado Avalanche, 1996 goalie, Stanley Cup. Big fan.
Who's your favorite musician of all time?
Prince.
Oh, geez, my next question was going to be Michael Jackson or Prince. That's hey, you ever see Prince in concert?
I'm only 31. Let's be real here. No.
Unbe- different level, bro. Listen to me and my wife saw him in Nashville several years ago. It probably his last tour.
Mhm.
Different level. I mean, different level from
Okay.
anyone I had ever seen. No opening act, no nothing. Comes
Really?
out and just rips the place apart. I mean, rips it apart. And the worst part was it was so loud in there, right? They play so loud and the fans were so crazy. After the concert, me and my wife went to BB King's Blues Club downtown Nashville,
Nice.
and it was so loud in there that it like actually knocked my equilibrium off. I got sick. I started getting a headache and getting dizzy. I said, "We got to go." I made her leave. And
Uh-huh.
I kid you not, I guess like 10, 15 minutes after we left, BB King's Blues Club is small, tiny little place, little stage. I guess a few minutes after we left, Prince walked in and played all night for the people that were there, man. I thought she was
That's
going
really
to kill
cool.
me.
That's
Yeah, I
really
thought
cool.
she was going to kill me. But yeah, really, really
See,
different level.
last last band I saw, or last musician I saw it was either Five Finger Death Punch in Colorado, or I was in Texas. I saw Mudvayne and Disturbed.
Yeah,
Stained.
okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm really feeling old because I have no idea who the hell you're talking about. that's that's for damn sure. So let me ask you something. Where do you plan on taking your career from here? What's your big goals, your long-term plans?
I want to start breeding and selling police dogs and family protection dogs. I want to open my own kennel facility. Have a my own personal proving grounds for departments to be able to train at. Um, I know the guys over at Torchlight Canine, Alicia and Ted. Um, they have their Tuesday night Leo trainings for free for our local agencies, and I would be able to offer that for local agencies too, where they have access to a shoot house, access to a tracking and trailing area. I know it's going to take some time, of course, but that's the long term goal. So you got to have a facility that is capable of providing agencies with the opportunity to be able to prove their dogs in training before they get on the street.
Nice. Awesome. I think you'll be there sooner than you expect. You know,
Yeah.
I really do. Listen, like I said before, when you treat people right and you're good at what you do, you're not going to be able to take in all the business that you're going to generate, because people want to work with people like you, plain and simple. Now, have you been affected through everything going on between the virus, all the social issues going on? How has it affected your business and your life in general?
Um, so we'll go with the COVID part first.
Sure,
So, like I said, I'm an adjunct instructor for the HRD Canine Crew, which is by far one of the coolest things ever. So we've had a couple of seminars that have had to be postponed or canceled because of COVID, because no one's doing group trainings for a while.
sure,
So I think there were like two or three that got canceled, including one massive one that was going to be here working at a special training facility owned by a company called Griffin Group that trains a lot of top tier three-letter initial agencies before they go on deployments. Um, so that's definitely taken a toll. And then for some of my personal clients, where some would either not want to work or they instead just want to do board and trains, which has been okay, but I really enjoy those private one-on-one sessions. So in that respect, that's where I've taken a bit of a change, but I mean, I've adapted to it. I like to think of myself as fairly adaptable. Now, as far as the social changes that have happened in regards to recent weeks, where there's been instances of um, social injustices across the country, I have definitely seen some, how do I put it? So my business hasn't been negatively affected per se, but I personally have been affected.
sure.
Um, so I'm an African American and I'm a police dog trainer, right?
Yeah,
So I have had friends, and I would still consider them friends, even if they wouldn't, who would say I'm on the wrong side,
right.
or in my business Instagram. or my business Facebook page, I've received some pretty hurtful messages from people saying that I'm a race traitor or I'm an Uncle Tom.
Wow.
That's been interesting. But on the positive side, I have had a couple of my former officers that have trained with me in the past reach out and just ask me how I'm doing, which has been pretty cool. Um, and then, of course, in some of these social media groups where people are posting comments about, hey, all cops are bastards, or justice for Breonna Taylor or George Floyd and whatnot, and people are saying, hey, they shouldn't have done it, or hey, all these cops are bad people, and folks are trying to break down the incidents because they're apparently Facebook lawyers now or
Sure.
prosecutors or understand case law. And I try to be as unbiased as possible, and I try to offer insight as much as I can, being a police canine trainer and on my understanding of case law in regards to use of force. Right now, I mean, again, I'm not a police officer, so I can't say much, but I try to be as neutral as possible, taking everything in. But again, people will jump down my throat. I had one person who removed himself from my personal Facebook who said, the only reason you're saying all this is because you're doing it to benefit your business. That's kind of
Wow.
hurtful.
Wow. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, if you know me, I try to be as fair and as just as possible. And if we're seeking justice, the true definition of justice is being fair, right? So, I mean, of course, in the instance of George Floyd, I would definitely condemn those officers for sure. But to sit there and condemn every single person who wears a badge, right, and say all cops are bastards, that's just ridiculous. You know, I would bet money that every single officer that I have personally worked with is a good person, and I would put money on it. I put my life on it. And
Sure.
I will definitely stand behind them, in front of them. I have a blue line flag that hangs up in my garage, and I'm proud to have it there. You know, my friend owns his own company, Threat Based Threads, and I will stand behind him every single day. He's a retired officer. Um, I'll stand with the good people of this country who decide to stand between us and chaos.
Wow. That's really heavy, man. That's a phenomenal answer. And I absolutely despise that anyone would treat you like that, you know? And I think in this day and age, Clover, it's disgusting that you have to be on one side or the other. There's
Oh,
no happy medium. There's no right or wrong anymore. It's one side or the other, you
so I
know?
grew up as a military brat, so I've been able to live everywhere. I was born in Germany. I lived in upstate New York. Um, went to high school in Georgia. I went to college in Maine. Lived in Texas, Hawaii, Colorado, North Carolina, and I've
Sure.
traveled across the country for work, for jujitsu, for wrestling. I've been all over the place. Um, I've dealt with my fair share of racism. Um, I remember this instance in college. So I went to school in rural Maine, right? So on my campus, I was at a private college, and I think at the time I was maybe one of maybe 10 African American students on campus. And I was one of two on the basketball team before one graduated, and I was the only one for a while. Um, and I remember my friends and I, we had gone to a mall, and we were crossing the crosswalk, and they made it ahead of me, and I'm just moseying along behind them, and this guy, he speeds up, right, as I'm in the middle of the crosswalk. And I jump out the way, and I heard him shout the N word, and it was just one of those things where
Wow.
it's like, whatever, dude. I used to be a really angry kid. In college, it was tough to hide my anger, um, and I learned to suppress a lot of things. But I mean, I've seen the bad in people, and I've seen the good, and I have to believe that a lot of people are better than there are bad. You know,
I
I saw.
I
Go ahead.
I definitely agree with that. It's disgusting that you ever have to experience that. You know what I mean? And you're better than me because I'd handle things a little worse, and I always have. And you know, I do think there are a lot more good people than bad people for sure. But the way we go about things today, if people turned off the news for 30 days, I think people would get along a lot better.
I could agree with
Part
that.
of the way this started was, I got so tired of seeing the stuff on TV. I got so tired of seeing the arguments and the battles on Facebook. And I just said, why not just talk to people, because when you go out in the real world, you're not seeing the stuff that they're showing on the news every day, 7 days a week, 365 days. For the most part, people are getting along, except in the areas where, it's more organized and it's done for a reason. You know what I mean? But I think for the most part, I think it's disgusting that people would call you those names because of your respect for law enforcement.
Um,
That puts you in a position where it's almost like you can't win. You know what I mean?
so I've been fortunate enough to know a couple of special operations forces gentlemen, um, some vet techs, some handlers that I've been able to meet and train alongside. And there's this gentleman, his name is Tu Lam, and he owns a company called Ronin Tactics. He's a Vietnamese immigrant from when he was younger, and he joined the army and became a special forces operator. And he had this quote on his Instagram several weeks ago that was, "You can't seek peace through hateful eyes." And I fully agree with that. You can't. If you think with emotion and you are angry all the time, you're not going to get anywhere, right? But if you stay calm and allow yourself to be mentally clear, you're going to see forward progress. And that's what I'm trying to do. I posted a series of books that I'm reading, and one of them is the Hagakure, and the other one is the Book of Five Rings by Miyamoto Musashi. And it details his strategies as a warrior, right, as a master samurai. And one of the things that he's noted for is thinking without emotion and being as neutral as possible. And that's how he was able to become such a phenomenal warrior, right? And I'm trying to incorporate that into everyday life where, I can look at the outside of everything that I encounter and assess it that way with as little emotion as possible.
Right. And that's hard. That's hard. How do
It
you do
is.
it? I mean, do you
It
ever
is.
find yourself watching the news and getting really angry at either side because you do represent both sides. You're a black man who's pro law enforcement. So do you ever find yourself in the middle letting anger take over, maybe changing your thoughts a little bit, pissing you off on either side? Because it's got to be hard.
Fortunately, I don't watch TV. Most of my
That's
information
smart.
has been coming from Facebook or from other people sending me videos, right? And I'll watch the video and I'll try to mull it over. So I'll watch it a couple of times, and I will speak with industry professionals, who are prior law enforcement or current law enforcement, see what they think, and I'll offer my 2 cents and go from there. But I can't rush right in because rushing right into a battle gets you killed, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely amazing, man. Jeez, good for you. What a head on your shoulders. Could I borrow it for a while?
Yeah, I've been hit a couple times in the head. You wouldn't want it.
It's just hard to find these days, these conversations, Clover, when I decided to do this, I didn't know how it would be received.
You know,
Go
when
ahead.
I when you had mentioned that you were going to be doing it, people had messaged me saying I should go on, and I was a little hesitant at first too. But I think these are the important talks that need to be had, and sometimes they're difficult, absolutely,
Sure.
but it's they need to happen. They do, and I
Yeah,
think one of
something
the
different
important
has
things
to
about it,
happen.
one of the things that's important about having those discussions is maintaining clarity. Being as clear and concise as possible, and having an initial conversation just among folks, right?
Yeah,
And trying to seek a means to an end.
sure. Sure. And if we keep doing the same thing, nothing's going to change. I didn't know what to expect, and to be honest with you, there were some people that I thought would have an issue with it, and
Yeah.
it's been received like incredibly in a positive way. Now, don't get me wrong, I've definitely gotten some hate behind the scenes, but you know what the funny thing about that is, Clover? Very little of it has been racially motivated.
Really?
Almost all of it has been politically motivated. Think about that.
Really?
Yeah. Yes. Very, very little has been racially, I mean, very little. And the stuff that has been racially motivated is kind of mild. It's just ignorance. You know what I mean? Not a lot of hate there. But all the hate has come from political views.
Hmm.
Like the people that are supposed to be the most tolerant, I could tell you are definitely the least tolerant. That's for some of the stuff's been nasty,
You
you
know, I
know?
try not to judge people based on like so. Facebook is great for this. You like to think that you can assess someone based off of
Sure.
what they post, right? But I try not to judge folks until I meet them in person, you know, and I can have a discussion with them. Which, granted, I haven't met everyone on my Facebook. I think I've got like several thousand friends, and it'd be great to meet them all because I mean, most of them are dog people,
Sure.
you know.
Yeah.
So it'd be great to train with them because I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, most of them are dog people. We all love dogs or train dogs for some aspects. So at some point or somewhere along the line, we have something in common, right? So
Absolutely.
why couldn't we sit down and talk about other things to kind of hash it out, right?
Yeah. I don't know if you saw the interview with Wallace Payne last night, but I loved like so much about it. And it was mostly just dog related. But the
Mhm.
one thing that Wallace told me about their club, what I thought was really interesting down in Atlanta, he said they have Trump supporters, they have Biden supporters, and they bust each other's balls nonstop, but
I
it's
couldn't
always in
tell
good
you.
fun.
I could not tell you what the political affiliations are of the PSA club I train with because nobody mentions it. You know, we ended
Right.
up
No one cares.
usually we talk about which is better, Malinois or Dutch Shepherds, and apparently
That's
it's
it.
Malinois. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a stripy guy myself, but I think yesterday someone said, I said, you know, would you take my dog from me if you wanted him, or would you get a puppy out of my dog? And she was like, I've had enough of them striped bitches, and I was like, oh, well, fuck you then.
Mark Oppenheimer wants to know what's your favorite guard in jujitsu?
Oh man, I play close guard all the time, but I mean, I will work out an X guard because I've got fairly long legs. I'm a 6 feet tall, and I'm 190 pounds. I used to cut down to about 150, but now that I'm older, I don't cut anymore because I figure if I'm going to get into a fight, I might as well fight at the weight I'm at right now. So I will pull X guard if it's a kind of a lankier guy. Otherwise, pull him close guard.
Nice. What's the proudest moment of your life?
My two kids when they were born. I've got a
Awesome.
6-year-old daughter and I've got a 5-month-old son.
Ah, you lucky dog. I missed that age, man. I missed it.
I
I
don't
missed
know.
it.
My son started growing his teeth, so he's not sleeping well. So
It goes fast, man. Believe me. Enjoy every minute of it. You ever have any low points in your life? You ever struggle with anything?
um so there were two moments when my parents split. That was pretty hard because I mean I think I was 12 at the time. And my dad moved out. I didn't get to spend as much time with him. So that was kind of hard. Um, and seeing him struggle as the years have gone by, and our relationship kind of dwindled for a little bit because I lived with my mom and he stayed in New York and moved down to Georgia. So I didn't get to spend as much time with him, and I got kind of resentful of him. But we've recently started rekindling our relationship, so that's been pretty cool.
Good.
Um, uh, he's really excited about the dog thing, so that's pretty awesome. He wants me to get him a nice German Shepherd at some point. Um, and then, so my freshman year of high school, I was a co-captain of a hockey team in upstate New York, and couple guys on the team didn't like that a black kid was co-captaining the team. So I actually got jumped from the locker room by teammates, um, drove my head into a wall, and I was unconscious on the floor when they found me. Pool of blood. I woke up in the hospital. My mom and my dad are there, so that was weird because I was like, why are both my parents here? So that was a little harder, to experience. That was my first instance of racism because one of the guy's dads was actually particularly racist. So I spent like 6 months of recovery, and then I was able to get back on the ice for my first hockey game, and it was really cool. As I actually got a standing ovation when I got to skate around the rink alone, from both teams, from people in the stands. But that was probably a lower point experiencing that. And watching my mom and my siblings experience it too
Wow.
because everyone's obviously concerned. They're wheeling me out in a wheelchair because I'm not allowed to walk and everything. Well,
What
that
they
was
do to the guys that jumped you?
they were sued. Um, they were kicked off the team. Two of them, their families were sued. Yeah, and then I ran into one of them several years later, and I wanted to hit him so bad, um, but I didn't. We locked eyes, and he averted eyes after the fact and just walked past me. And I just said hi, how's it going? And he said, I'm not playing hockey anymore. I said, yeah, well, neither am I. I'm wrestling now. And he said he was playing football, and I said, I wish you well. Take it easy. And that was it.
Wow. Wow, dude, you're way better than me. Like that takes a different kind of human there to be able to do that. Now, has it ever been an issue besides that time? You don't see a lot of black men playing hockey. Was that an issue back then?
Um, so there was one on my team before that year, and I think he moved, but my mom and his mom were like great friends. But my grandfather, who was a colonel in the army, and at the time, because he was a colonel back in the 60s, being a black man and an officer in the military, that was just unheard of.
Sure.
But he would always send me news articles about African American hockey players. So, um, gosh, what was his name? I think his last name Brasher or Brashear, and he was a Philadelphia Flyer. So he became another player I would watch because it was like, if he can make it in the NHL, why can't I, right? Or there's a player, his name was Kevin Weeks, and he played for the Carolina Hurricanes. He was a goalie, so I'd watch him too. But I mean, again, like my favorite player was always Patrick Waugh because I was an Avalanche fan. Um,
Right.
but my grandfather always sent me newspaper clippings of African American hockey players to, I guess, give me role models.
That's awesome. Yeah, because you didn't have a lot to look at if you're a big hockey fan. I totally get it. That's got to be, especially on a young kid. I mean, does that
Yeah.
create confusion? Does that make doubt? Does it hurt the motivation to continue with it?
I don't. For me personally, it didn't because I just fell in love with the game.
Sure.
The game was what I fell in love with. I love strapping on my skates, stepping onto the ice, and put in a couple laps, pick up my stick, and shoot. It was exhilarating to me, right? The only reason I stopped is because I found wrestling, and I will say that wrestling, being the oldest sport in the world, is the great equalizer because it doesn't matter, what race you are. You step onto the mats, and one person's going to win and one person's going to lose, and it
That's
just
it.
depends on who's better, right?
Yep.
And I've won a lot of matches and I've lost a few,
Right.
and with each loss, I learned something, and with each win, I learned something, and I just went from there.
Awesome. Now, I've been doing this for a while and I have a little bit of a platform. And so I think to a lot of people, it looks like I have it good. I have a good life. And I do. Don't get me wrong. I have it good. But on a daily basis, especially at night when I'm laying in bed, I doubt myself a lot. Always doubt myself. Do you ever
I
find
find that
yourself
very hard
doubting
to believe.
yourself? You doubt yourself
Um,
ever?
there were times like when we first moved here, and I realized the number of trainers that were in the area. I was like,
Yeah,
"Holy shit! How am I going to make this work? This is insane." But then I was like, "Well, I mean, you've had success thus far. Why would it stop now? Well,
sure.
obviously, you're capable, or people think you're capable. So, I mean, just get out there and go do it. Put in the work. Um, like I've got a wrestler's mentality because I spent 8 years, 7 years wrestling. So just put in the work and reap the rewards. So I'd get up extra early and put more work in with my dog. I try to get up around 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning and put
Wow.
as much work in as I can. Either personally with my physical fitness or with my dog. I also try to get up early because otherwise he'll crap his kennel outside. Um, like clockwork. So I got to get up early before he does that. Um, but the only way I can see myself failing is if I allow myself to fail.
Catherine says, great trainers always doubt. Yeah, I guess so. Tyler wants to know freestyle or Greco?
I love throwing people. I love throwing people. So I mean, I go with Greco. But I mean, freestyle was my background. Um, and I'll do it all. But now it's just been jujitsu, but I've been able to incorporate some of my wrestling background into jujitsu, which has been nice.
Okay, now give me your routine with your dog. You're at home. You don't have to go to work. You don't have clients' dogs. There's no going to a facility to train, no police dogs. You're at home all day. Give me your routine from the minute you wake up with your dog. And you just have the Dutchie?
I've got a Dutch and I've got a retired Malinois as well.
Yeah.
And she's 6 years old, so she's pretty much a couch potato. And then I'm going to go pick up a new Mal puppy in a couple weeks from Anthony Rosa. But with my Dutchie, my comp dog. So, for example, this morning I was up at 5:30. I had some coffee and then went outside around 5:45. And I went back inside because it was cold, so I had to go put a shirt on and go back outside, open up his kennel door, call him to heel, get some focus on him, and we do a couple of reps around the yard, and then I break him so he can go use the restroom. So he goes off to a bush to go pee. He does his business, call him back to heel, put in a couple more healing exercises, just trying to break up the PDC routine, which is the entry level routine for PSA.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to do it out of order so that way he doesn't get into this monotonous idea of, okay, this is what's happening next and
Sure.
whatnot. So I'm doing that in my backyard, and then I'll down him by my back door, and then go inside, grab his food, call him inside to a heel, sit his bowl down, let him eat. Then I'll go put him back in his kennel. It was pretty hot today, like 87 degrees, so I didn't work him in the middle of the day. This evening, though, um, just did some recall exercises for a ball. Nothing too special. I'm trying to save him, save his energy for some harder work later in the week. Because I'm also trying to teach him to track too, um, just so I can make my skills better. Um, so that was it for him. Sunday though, we had some pretty solid reps. Like I said, he's a pretty hard dog, so we've been conditioning his out a lot just to make sure that's pretty good for the competition. Because he's got a great in. I'll tell you that right now, and a lot of decoys
Mm-hmm.
will tell you he's got a phenomenal in, but his
Yeah.
out is
Gotcha.
it's it's
Now,
it's there.
I hope that everyone listening hears what you just said about that. You're not very far into your day yet, but yet before the dog even went to the bathroom, you're practicing. It doesn't have to be long. You're doing something. You're practicing. You go to prepare his food, you're practicing something. I don't think the average dog owner realizes how much wasted time that people have with their dogs when they're just not doing anything. We everybody trains with food today. Everybody utilizes food. I was just telling a new private client this the other day from experience. I truly believe this. I teach everything with food, new positions, new commands, whatever, right? But what I have found is that one repetition that I'll use with my own dogs or a client's dog, where I'm trying to teach them something new while I'm preparing their whole meal, the whole bowl, not repetitions with kibble. I have found that to be far superior than using kibble after kibble after kibble and repetition. Of course, repetitions are important and necessary, don't get me wrong. But the learning that I see with a dog when I have them do something while I prepare their food away from it, to me, goes through the roof and it's just not utilized enough. I taught my dog a good send away when she was 6 months old, 7 months old. And people say, how did you do that at that young? I said, I did that with 2 repetitions a day. Once in the morning preparing her food, once in the evening breaking, using her food. And I broke it down exactly how I did it because it's extremely powerful. And what you're doing is unbelievably powerful. It's
So I'll tell
amazing.
you right now, he's not a very food driven dog. Like he
Mm-hmm.
loves his kibble, don't get me wrong, but he doesn't like to work for food. Like I
Mm-hmm.
can't get the repetitions out of him. He's very
Sure.
play driven. So it's been difficult trying to shape certain behaviors where I have to pay him with the ball and then kind of reset his position.
Yeah.
Like we've had our days where I've had to withhold food and see if that would help, and it wouldn't work. But I mean, I got what I wanted when I got this dog, right? But
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I tell people he's not a sport dog, right?
All right.
Because he's not. But I've been able to learn a lot with him, which is going to help me for my next dog for sure.
Oh God, yeah. Your next dog's gonna seem easy if you pick it right. That's for sure. Jason
Here's
Davis
a,
says he's gonna get you switched over to French ring one day.
that's a hard pass. That is a hard pass.
What's the best dog you've ever seen?
Oh man, actually, the dog's name is Rudy, Canine Rudy. He's from Longmont Police Department in Colorado. Um, so his handler's actually here in North Carolina for a training seminar or for training school over at Tar Heel for a month. So I'm going to link up with him soon. But so that dog has probably he's a KMPV dog, beautiful male, but he's hard as hell. So that dog was known for he went on an apprehension on a suspect and he hopped over a chain link fence and he impaled himself,
Oh geez.
intestines hanging out, still apprehended the guy, right,
Oh
holding on
wow.
for dear life. Rushed to the hospital. They get him sutured up. They've taken several feet of intestine, right? A couple of days later, he rips his intestines out again, right? Like he's a hard dog, but the amount of control that his handler has put on him, like he's pretty legit, and he's probably my favorite dog I've ever had to work.
Nice. Who's the best trainer you've ever seen in person?
Oh man, I can't. The one that's in front of me, you know. I've been fortunate enough to work with a lot of trainers. From John Bonville over at 10th Group. He was one of the trainers there before he decided to open up his own business. He's taught me a lot. Jeremy Varela from Right Hand Canine, Leonard Latoto, Exceptional Obedience, Andrew Sterner, JASD, Daniel Barrett, Shadow Canine. I've worked with a lot of trainers that have all imparted something to me that's helped me into the trainer that I am today. So I can't say who's the best because I know so many that have given me so much.
Nice. Nice. Any young trainers come to mind, like maybe guys younger than you that you think are gonna just explode?
So Paul Westman, I swear, if he opens up his own business, he's gonna kill it. I'm really hoping that he does. I know he's doing some federal stuff right now, but I think he would be a hell of a dog trainer, as well as Danielle Winkleman. She's got the confidence that you want to see in a dog trainer, you know, especially when they're starting out.
Mm-hmm.
So the two of them, I think, will make waves for sure.
You could train a dog, one dog for any celebrity alive today. Who would it be?
Oh man, if I was gonna train anyone's dog, uh, that's a tough one. Well, a well-known celebrity, like
Yeah,
mainstream.
yeah, sure.
Uh, oh dang, that's a tough one. I guess I would probably have to do it for. I mean, John Bones Jones has already had his dog trained, so I guess I'd probably say maybe former President Obama. That'd be cool.
How
That's from
about
the
any?
president's dog.
How about anyone dead in history?
Yeah. Chadwick.
Yeah, that's a big one. You know,
Yeah,
that was sad.
yeah,
That
it's
was
definitely unexpected.
yeah, crazy. Absolutely crazy. David and Kay Thompson, they're clients of mine. They have a Malinois, awesome people. They said, Clover, you sound like you may have a very kind soul, and we could all learn from you. We are a law enforcement family, and would like to thank you for contributing by training the police dogs and handlers. My husband had a Dutchie for his canine, and he was an awesome dog. So we're partial to Dutch Shepherds. Not sure if there's as many quality Dutchies out there as there are Mals, but they love the Dutchies. Good people, really awesome people. I'm enjoying them very
You know what they
much.
say? If it ain't Dutch, it ain't much.
That's awesome. What would you like people to know about you out there, Clover?
Um, I was in Jurassic World for all of 15 seconds, and I competed on American Ninja Warrior.
I saw that. That's awesome, man. What was
That was
that
pretty
like?
cool. That was a very exciting experience. I didn't make it to the warp wall on the day I was actually competing, But I had a lot of fun. I was asked if I wanted to come back, but I declined because now I'm going to try to audition for NBC's Titan Games.
Awesome. I got
Uh,
a buddy that was just. I got a friend here in Bowling Green that was just on it.
really
Yeah, Bartley Weaver, big guy, big
nice.
muscle bound guy. He's a state trooper here. He had a pretty epic scene too, where they do that wall thing and the two guys clash. He's the
Yeah.
guy that got up there last and almost got knocked off right from the beginning and wound up like winning that scene. So he was just he said it was a pretty incredible experience too. Oh, I hope
Nice.
you make it. Yeah, that's pretty
Sounds
great.
really good.
Anything you want to ask me?
How'd you get your start? I mean, you're Larry Krohn. You're like the e-collar guru. How'd you get your start?
It was nothing exciting. I started around the same time I started my career with the United States Border Patrol. Me and my wife didn't have kids, and we just
Mhm.
destroyed our first dog with love and affection and made it a total mental midget. And I started
Mhm.
working with the trainer back then, and it just I get obsessive with anything I do, and I became obsessive over learning about the behavior. I didn't care about obedience or anything for a very long time. I just had no interest in it. I just wanted, I wanted to know how the dog's mind worked more than anything. And that's what I've always focused on. And then over the years, I started adding more things, and the relationship's always been big with me. Play has always been big with me. But I think from watching, Ivan Balabanov, I realized plays even more important than I ever thought it was. And now that's a huge part of my thing. And the e-collar stuff, I started pushing real hard, not to promote myself with the e-collar, but try to show people you got to stop frying these dogs. There's a better way. And so it's, I've been pretty vocal about that. And I've been contacted by a bunch of police departments, canine units now, that they're trying to go a different route, and they're trying to do things a little differently and get away from the old school e-collar work. And
Mhm.
so right now I'm in the makings of working with one up in Indiana come March. We're just trying to set it up. And I'm trying to
Nice.
tell them, guys, it's going to be boring. This isn't real exciting. And they're just really interested in developing a different relationship with the dog and utilizing the tool in a different way. So, we're definitely getting better out there with it,
That's good.
and hopefully the industry just keeps getting better and better. And with young people like you, man, we need more young people like you, Clover, because you are absolutely the best representative of this industry that we could hope to have.
You're here.
Yeah. Hey,
All that,
listen,
man.
listen, I heard people screaming when you said you went to take your dog out and you didn't have a shirt on. All the women were doing thumbs up and everything. I know you slipped that in there on purpose. Don't think I didn't catch it. I had to go back in and put a shirt on. I had to go in and put some pants on.
It was cold this morning. Like it was like 57 degrees, I think, this morning. Um,
Hey, it's hunting
I
season.
wound up getting to 87, but I mean, it was wild. I didn't expect it to be so cold this morning, so I grabbed myself a shirt. I even opened up the windows today too. That was kind of
It,
nice.
it's getting chilly in the mornings. It's that time. Best time of year is coming up,
Yeah,
best time of year. So maybe one day we can get together and train dogs and do a little bow hunting too. That would be great. What kind of bow you shoot?
I'm shooting a 2017 PSE Infinity. I ran it through my neighbor's chronograph today. It's shooting at 249, which is kind of a shocker to me, but that's okay. I'll take it.
Yeah,
It's a
that's.
single tail bow, so
Mhm.
I was very surprised.
What kind of poundage you shooting? What do you have it set at?
60.
60. My wife bought anything nice I have for hunting. My wife bought me. I've never really, and she bought me a nice Matthews Triax last year
Oh,
because I
nice.
was I was shooting a Matthews that she bought me in 2000. I've had it
Mhm.
almost 20. I was shooting it for almost 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. I
Wow.
don't. I'm a creature of habit. If something isn't broke, I don't want to get rid of it. But man, these
That's
bows
fair.
today, it's unbelievable the technology behind them.
So my neighbors all have double camo. So three of my neighbors all shoot, and another buddy of ours does. And my neighbor built his own archery range next to my house.
Oh,
So
geez.
I can literally walk next door and just go shoot. Like I did this morning after I was working
That,
my dog. I shot a couple arrows, right?
that's
And
great.
we can shoot out to 90 yards, which is really cool.
Oh my
Um,
God. That's
I don't.
incredible. Yeah.
I shoot up maximum 60. Um, But walking over there, we just set up the chronograph and shot, and I'm watching these guys shoot with their double cam bows, and like these guys are much better hunters than I am. Um, I'm still a noob when it comes to it. But watching them shoot, seeing all the fancy stuff they have on their bows, like I just picked up a new sight myself, a V sight, which is actually really cool. It's open, so there's no point. You aim down the middle of your V, and it's surprisingly accurate for hunting. I'm actually liking it more than I was my double pin sight.
Really? I'll have to
Oh yeah,
check that out because
it's very
I
nice.
need all the help I can these days. I don't see very good. Well, what got you into hunting?
Self-sustainability. Like I said, I went to school in rural Maine, and everyone was big in self-sustainability. My college would actually let you keep your bow on campus as well as keep two rifles.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, yeah.
That's awesome. That's
So
great.
a lot of my friends were hunters growing up through college, and I'd go out with them every now and again. I didn't go duck hunting because I was cold, but I'd go on a deer hunt with them.
Duck
And
hunting's
I
cold.
just got hooked. I
That's
just got
great.
hooked. So I ended up picking it up myself, and I'm I find myself at peace when I'm out in the woods. You know, it's quiet, no one's bothering you. Get out there at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, fall asleep on the tree stand, wake up because there's a coyote screaming. You know,
Yeah.
it's nice.
Yeah, that's definitely my therapy, you know. There's nothing better. Wait till you're sitting there in the dark and Cynthia says, "Thank you, Larry, for introducing us to this fine young man. He's going to go far, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does next." I agree, Cynthia. There's no doubt about it. You know, no doubt about it. You know, and I don't want to keep you all night, Clover. I'm so grateful that you did this, man. I see why people really wanted me to talk to you because you're a hell of a young man. You know, your parents did a hell of a job, and I really enjoyed talking to you. You know, and you're going to go far. There's no question about it.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I can't thank you enough. And you know, tell everybody again one more time. Promote yourself. Tell them where they could find you.
I own and operate Marathon Canine Academy, based outside of Fayetteville, North Carolina, but travel all over the country, uh, training police dogs, protection dogs, obedience, you name it, all squared away. Um,
Well, I can't thank you enough, buddy. Thanks for doing this. And if you know anybody that you think would want to come on here, anybody you want to see, let me know. We're going to just keep doing them until people know one. You know, there's a lot of good people out there that nobody knows of, and we want to get them some attention for sure, you know,
Absolutely,
and do the right thing. All right. And if I can ever do
absolutely,
anything to help you, Clover, please don't hesitate, you know, and let's keep in touch. Okay, buddy?
absolutely.
Thank you, my friend. Have a good night.
Take
Peace.
care.